Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
Hey, good evening. What's happening, everybody? What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers Podcast coming to you live and direct. It's the Weekend Rewind, man. The Weekend Rewind as we talk about the things that have happened over the weekend. And boy, man, there was a lot of things that went on in the world of sports where it went down. But hey, before we say all that, make sure you like, click, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the bells for all the notifications, and for all my peoples on the podcast and sound that's hearing me on the sound of my voice. Make sure you give us that 5-star review. Love us or hate us. Let us know how you feel. And you definitely have done that on last week, and I'm pretty sure tonight you're going to do it again, man. So with that said, let's meet the crew. DA, what's up? What's going on tonight, bro? How are you tonight, sir? What's happening?
I'm coming in from 1945.
DA is
old school, like the old school games this weekend, Yeah, it's black and white, brother. Black and white. Real clear. Keep it black and white.
Got you. Dan, the hockey dude. I'm so glad Dan's here tonight, man. Dan, how are you tonight?
Live in Keller from 2025.
Yeah,
What's up, fellas? Good to be here.
The logo is, though. The logo.
There you go. The angry one, James Eric. What's happening, sir? What's going on tonight, sir? What's happening?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? Monday Night Rewind. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go.
Let's go, man. Like I said, man, a lot to get into, man. We'll briefly mention the draft. We'll also talk about who our favorite teams and what our breakdown was with the draft. What did we give out our favorite teams, so to speak. DA had made a great point. Me and him talked to him on the phone this afternoon. He made a great point of saying how things have been beaten to death since Thursday night. So I will have him have some last words on that afterwards. Dan will come with hockey. Glad Dan is here with hockey. We'll talk about some hockey things. The Penguins coach, Mr. Sullivan, him and the Penguins, they have decided to do what? Part ways. And we'll jump into that. Plus, the playoffs has been exciting. The Kings and Oilers, I really love that series. That's that series back and forth. They're both tied 2-2, man. So I think they went in overtime in game 4. So Dan will take away with that. And then I don't know if Ryan's going to be joining us, but if not, we'll kind of tackle it. Me and DA will tackle it together with the NBA. And hey, JJ Redick, I don't know if you know, bro. You're allowed to substitute your team in the second half.
Do you have anybody to substitute?
Not really.
Oh, wait, they got Brawny. Shit, sorry.
Not really.
My bad.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Not really a good look.
Yeah, shout out to all those that's watching us in the comments on YouTube and on X, on what else platform? We got Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. I'll try to put Instagram up here in a second. As y'all know, y'all should know, Instagram takes a couple more steps to do.
You're just asking the wrong person.
Oh, no, you don't.
No,
we won't.
You got the right people to do it. You be up there in the instant.
Man, let me just open up real quick, man. Like I said, we had a draft. The NFL had the draft over the Thursday to Saturday, and then in the afternoon, man. And I think DA put it so eloquently. You know what, DA, go ahead. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, do your thing, and then we're going to the news, man.
Okay, so here's the trigger section, as HR tells me. Listen,
HR D-dubs.
Everyone, casual fans, real fans, lovers of the game, haters of the game. Shedeur Sanders went to where? he graded to, where he needed to be. Forget all the talk. Forget all the unsubstantiated. He had a bad interview. He said this. He didn't like that. He wore purple. He moved this. It don't matter. None of that matters. Because if you're a rapist, then you're good. And I'm sorry, ladies. If you are and you're really good, they'll cover it and draft that fool until he messes up and Kev is walking him out to jail, right? So that being said, Shedeur Sanders played in a average conference where they don't play defense, and he was good. He wasn't great. He wasn't Andrew Luck. He wasn't Peyton Manning. He wasn't Caleb Williams. He's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback because he's a D1 college athlete, everyone. But the reality is he was never a first-round draft pick. And all 8 dudes on both networks at the tables sold y'all when he was a first-round pick, knowing that he wasn't a first-round pick. They knew there was no goddamn chance he'd be a first-round choice. And when that happened, behind the scenes, I guess, with people who knew, and you're no longer a starting quarterback, but a backup quarterback, then the fanfare and everything around you now becomes an anchor, and it drags you to the bottom of the lake because no team wants their backup with cameras around them and their own camera crew and doing this and doing that. Now, I'm sure he won't get there with a camera crew. I'm sure he'll get there to work hard. I think Flacco, Dan's boy from Pittsburgh, and him will probably be the ones that end up on the team, with dudes from Oregon being on the practice squad. That's kind of where I see it right now. And that's only because in college he didn't play against the best competition. So it's really, really hard to go to the NFL and play against the best competition. So, for instance, Josh Allen played for Wyoming in college. When he got to the Bills his first year, it was not good. He threw the ball to the other team a lot. That happens because you have to pick up on the speed of the game and all the rest of those things. So, America, I do not believe, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, that Rachel was there. I didn't see her.
Rachel.
She didn't call me. I think that, yes, there may have been a lesson or whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't get into things that people don't say. I get to the actions that I see. So I think the team he went to is probably the best team for him in this circumstance. I don't think what's brother from Clemson, Deshaun Watson, I don't think he'll ever play another snap, at least not in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He may play in the NFL, but he's not playing again for Cleveland. So there'll be room for him to work hard and make it happen. And for all those that, think I'm bugging, even Deion Sanders, I believe, because he was one of the best cornerbacks to ever play, which means he picked off some of the best quarterbacks to ever play, knew that his son wasn't that just yet. Now, he has to sell that school, and he's done a damn good job doing so because they won one game 2 years ago. And in the last 2 seasons, they've made it a six wins the first year, and last year they went to the conference championship. So he's going to keep on coaching and selling his squad. And that includes selling his son, Joe Horn, and whoever the heck else came up out of there, Travis, because that's the way you get new Travises, is by selling the program. So that being said, folks, it's not like some grand conspiracy to keep the kid out the NFL. So we'll never play again or anything else. But he is not and was never. Please believe me when I tell you guys, man. He is not and was never a first-round draft pick. Now, I'm leaving on this note. We've seen stranger. We've seen guys reach to get guys that shouldn't have been there. But whenever we see that happen, what then happens? It's not good. So I'm just telling you, man, these guys, this is where they feed their kids. This is how they send their kids to the nice schools and buy the cars and have the houses. They don't do those things to pick a guy that's going to make them lose their jobs. And that is about that, folks. I am done with that, and I will say no more about this weekend and the foolishness that was on these networks about Shedeur Sanders. So because people that don't really follow the sport are up in arms and up in the outroar about this without even knowing what they're talking about. So, but that said, I'm done. You guys can talk about it the rest of the night. I'm here to drink my water or vodka.
You get to bell for that. Yeah, it's definitely been beaten to death all weekend, and the teams got their players. It's time to see who's going to make the squads and whatnot. And you still got those that who still free agents who didn't get taken in the draft. They're free agents, and I believe they have up to this Saturday. I'm actually pushing for one of my dudes. His name is Omar Rogers, man. He went to East Carolina, man. He's a cornerback, man. And I'm praying that somebody looks at his tape. Somebody looks at me tonight, looks at us tonight. And man, that dude works hard, man.
He's good. Don't worry.
Good. So
don't worry. At the level he's at, there's already teams that his agent know like him that will bring him into camp.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you, DA, with that nice monologue. I appreciate that, man. Well, as we do that, let's stay in the vein of football. The NFL, they keep on the gift that keeps on giving here. And I don't understand this one here, man. And over the weekend here, let me just make sure I get it right here. Go ahead and round up here. Oh, yes. And this is from Yahoo Sports, from their staff. And I don't understand in the year 2025 how security and things of that nature may not have been taken seriously. But I'm just going to say. So Mason Graham and some others, Shedeur Sanders, they got pranked over the weekend, right? Mason Graham, he's a defensive tackle from Michigan, was selected fifth overall by the Browns in 2025. During the draft, he received multiple prank calls. His father, Alan Graham, confirmed that someone shared prank calls. And then, as y'all know, Shedeur got some prank calls. Somebody saying that he was Mickey Loomis from New Orleans. And there was other people. There was people from last year. I want to say this. I want to know this. Yes, the NFL, they're investigating, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, they're investigating. But my thing is, how do we get to that? How is a $1 billion, $1 trillion corporation, whatever, how much money they're making, how we don't give, I work in security and law enforcement. So how, and I don't work in IT, but I just know how we don't give these draftees some kind of secured line or something where on that day that phone call goes to them. I don't understand that. And I'm just asking a question. And I'll be real funny real quick. All those that used to watch the old school Batman, could you imagine the call going from Commissioner Gordon to Batman, and it's some jackass that say, "Hey, Batman."
It's Bateman, not Batman.
Bateman.
Right. Yo, DA always talks about this all the time. How in the world, out of all things, we gonna skimp on security?
Nerds don't like jocks.
What happened?
Nerds don't like jocks.
Go ahead, explain.
Nerds run the IT for the jocks. And somebody's like, you know what, in high school, now I don't know. They probably farmed it out. To be totally honest with you, the NFL probably got in line with some quote unquote like a Vioxx or phone system or company and it was probably outsourced to somebody else because you pay one company,
right?
They pay another company to do something, then they pay another company to do something. And, if it's not done right on the top, then you don't know what kind of work you're getting, right? If you want to secure those lines. And I think that's most likely what happened was that the lines are there, right? So when you look up those rooms, you see all those guys there. There are a few phones there. One of those phones has to be the phone. Like they're not playing musical phones and moving them around. And, they're not. Like one of the phones has to be the phone. And so,
but this keeps happening every year, though.
Yeah, but so either the teams are not, securing how they're not really paying attention when they get the instructions. Dial this number, wait for this tone, do this, do that, then it'll go through to this guy. Or they're just not listening. But it's not that hard to do, so that if something happens and I make a phone call, no matter what happens, if I dial any numbers, it goes to Kevin. Right? Because that's just a call forward. Those are things that you can do yourself. So for someone else to get the numbers and to hack in, or I don't know where they got the numbers from, they might have just called on a regular phone. Because the guys that are getting the call don't know what the phone number is that's coming in. They don't know who it is calling. It's calling from Texas. So you think it's, Now that's the hard part. That's the IT side. Like, how do those kids make those calls look like they were coming from
Mickey Loomis,
Florida, New Orleans, New York? That's kind of and I don't know the full depth of what happened, but
right. They don't really explain it. I just find it really hard how this $1 billion company, they don't kind of tidy it up. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say that when I saw a bunch of this stuff with the Shedeur thing going on, I saw where it was reported that he bought a phone specifically for the draft. And the only people that had the number was the league or teams in the league. Now, not knowing your area codes is one thing as a player, or, a little Google search will tell you, hey, this is where the phone number is coming from. It's from California. 605, it's California. 704, right. It's Charlotte. 724, it's coming from Pittsburgh, or 412. So, but that kind of falls on who has access to the numbers in the team. As we saw, it was the defensive coordinator for Atlanta's kid that called Shedeur and pranked him. So, a lot of that falls maybe on, the team people who needs to have the number.
Security. Yeah. Layers of security. You're right.
That's I think how that happened is maybe dad left that shit laying around on the counter and they were like, want to have some fun?
Hey, yeah.
I got grounded for bad grades. I got to sit in the house. What can I do this Saturday? Oh, hey, let me pick up the phone.
Again, it has to do with the people that are contracted to do the work, man. Somebody got them. Somebody got them numbers.
But, that's what happens when you have a remote draft.
Yeah. And most, people
you call the name, they walk up on stage. It's them. It's who you're looking at. It's not a phone call from, RoboCop or whatever they robocallers or whatever.
Yeah, Dan, they'll never do that in person no more because people don't want to. Well, look what happened, right? You think he's supposed to go a certain draft class and around, and then you don't. We look at those with Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, things of that nature.
Yeah, it's and they only do one round the first night, so it's like, yo, listen, if I'm not in, I'm out, so I'd rather be home. So,
shout out to my man from Green Bay. He looked like he stayed all the way till Saturday. I forgot his name, but he stayed all the way to Saturday, man. They called his name, man, and he thought, he was going to be picked. And kudos to him. Roger Goodell pretty much came out and said, "Hey, man, you still here?" And then when they finally called his name, they brought him out. I thought it was cool, man, that they did that for him on Saturday. So, hey, any thoughts on this before I move on?
I'm gonna just say this, man. Obviously, the league didn't find it.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They didn't find it I was just gonna say they just obviously didn't find it important enough to have things secure in these instances. If they're getting worse and worse as the years go on, obviously it's not a priority for them. It's sad, but it is what it is.
It's a television show, man. Even that helps the ratings for that foolishness that went on all weekend. So
the Real Husbands of the NFL.
It's foolishness, man. So.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And they sell it to you. Rich Eisen and his crew and Greeny and their crew, they're selling you.
Don't forget about Mel.
Yeah. Before we get off this topic, did Mel owe Dion money?
Probably now he does.
Oh my God, was he pounding that rock?
Every time he probably got checked. So
Mel was crying all weekend.
Yeah, whatever.
I was like, dang.
That boy's gonna be just fine, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know about in Cleveland, but hey, I get your point.
You got your point. Let me move on here. Let me move on to the diamond here. Baseball on tap here. This is from CBS Sports from Dane Perry. The Rockies. I don't know if y'all noticed. The Rockies are 4-23 already. The Rockies are currently on a track to surpass the 2024 White Sox record of 121 losses.
Please, no.
Potentially setting a new modern era MLB record for the most losses in a single season. The season marks the Rockies' 7th consecutive losing season, with the last 3 each exceeding 100 losses since 2023. Only the White Sox have had a worse winning percentage than Colorado's 353. The Rockies' pitching staff has allowed the most runs in MLB season, even after they adjusted the Coors Field their dimensions out there in Coors Field. Despite the hitter-friendly environment at Coors Field, the Rockies offense ranks last in the majors in the park-adjusted OPS, indicating a significant struggle at the plate. As of April, the Rockies have a record of 4-21. Only 5 teams in Major League Baseball have had a fewer wins through the first 25 games. And the article, this just basically suggests that the Rockies, the management is cool with it. This is one of the things that DA has absolutely preached on this about owners and how this ownership here is pretty cool with this.
Yeah.
I heard something over the weekend about this, how they said that when you go to Coors Field, it's like going to a bar, but there's a baseball game there. Did y'all hear what I just said? You go to a bar. Oh, yeah, by the way, there's a baseball game going on.
So why don't we just relegate them and put the Savannah Bananas out there? Because they just had 81,000 people at Clemson, and at least they want to play.
But the problem there lies in the Coors Field continues to get sold out because
the beer,
right,
$5 drinks,
whatever they got going on there. There's a cool environment. It's one of the I've never been to the ballpark, but they say it's one of the best.
Smoke weed.
Well, yeah, Colorado. Yeah, I totally forgot that. Yeah, so like you said, one of the owners they go with it. As long as the gate is good, we're good. We're not to get the players. That sounds probably familiar to Dan, as he knows that. They got a beautiful ballpark. Go ahead, Dan.
They got people coming though. They got people in the stands.
Yeah, not in Pittsburgh. Y'all gotta give away some beer.
They moved. They moved Iron City out. They sold Iron City.
Get off those drafts. So, you better get them some Yanglings.
Good.
Hey, but to Colorado's point, yeah, Chicago's only got 7 wins and 21 losses, so they still got competition for the worst record.
Chicago's are coming. So
the Rockies are number 15 behind Seattle in attendance. They average 30,000 every night at Coors Field.
Ooh-wee.
So,
hey man, we say vote with your dollars on this show. Obviously, they're quite happy with what's going on out there in Colorado. So, hey,
vote with the taste buds.
If they're not worried about it, neither should we.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to my man from Bleacher Report. He's been on the show twice. God, what is his name? But he said that. He said the ownership there is pretty bad there with the Rockies, and they will continue. Like he just said, vote with your dollars, man. But they're averaging 30,000. Hey, Life is good, man. Life is good. Life is good. Let me go to another baseball thing here. And this is from Sports Illustrated from Jackson Roberts. And it was published on yesterday. And this is pretty bad and a sad thing in the state of affairs of people in the world. So during the Red Sox games, Red Sox against the Guardians at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Boston's outfielder, Jarren Duran, he was heckled. And some of the fan reportedly told Duran that you should have killed yourself when you had the chance, referring to Duran's previously disclosed suicide attempts. And this pretty much enraged Duran and triggered him, where he walked over and started joining with the guy. So what I think what was the most corniest and how can I say the most corny and a punk way to say it, if you haven't known with MLB, they have now the netting that goes all the way around from home plate all the way out to the outfield. So and that was about 2 years ago when they made that change. So now you can really just heckle and say anything and pretty much have no repercussions. Not saying that Duran would have ran into the stands after that, man, but that's pretty. You got to be pretty much a lowlife to say something like that to an individual. I get it. You bought your ticket, yeah, boo, whatever case may be, boo, man. But some things should be off limits, man. And when you get that Ron Artest 2-piece, like what happened, with the Malice in the Palace, man.
Yeah, you get hit in the face with the ball. Then we'll see what it is.
So, go ahead, DA. It's just
get popped in the face with the ball, man. I find a way through the net and beam you with the ball. You're gonna keep talking shit. I'm gonna help you figure this out. Your conversation.
It's so security. They removed them. Looks like they're going to try to ban them from life from the thing. But it's just sad state of affairs how human beings just treat other human beings, man.
But you notice this is a trend. Did we not have this not too long ago? I'm trying to think it was Philadelphia, maybe the football game.
Oh yes,
where the guy was just screaming at the lady, calling her all kind of nasty stuff.
Yeah,
or whatever. It's like that's not a fan. Nor is this guy.
Just there to
like if you want to say you're so terrible, you run like you have 2 left feet. That's one thing. But when you start like getting personal and saying stuff like that, you need to be out of the ballpark. Yeah, and you have no business being. But watch that stuff on your TV, and you can be your own idiot at home.
Yeah, I just think we missed a punch in the face.
It just seems like it's becoming a trend where fans are becoming.
You punch them in the face, they stop that dumb shit.
No, you're absolutely right, Dan. That absolutely has become a trend, and people are becoming how can I say emboldened. I think social media has a lot to do with it too, where people they can just say anything between.
Yeah, keyboard warriors.
See, these 2 guys here, I know they're law enforcement because I thought he was gonna say you're right, D, but no, he said you're right, Dan. Punching people in the face is not the right thing to do.
Protect and serve, bro.
Protect and serve. I cannot advocate violence, but sometimes things absolutely will.
Hey, sometimes you got to choose that.
Will work itself out. That's all I'll say. Things will absolutely work itself out. Anything on this before I move on to the other thing I got here?
Nope.
As I usually say at the end of every show, man, it takes nothing to be nice to your fellow man, woman, and child.
Nothing.
Having stuff like that on your heart, you don't need to be out in public. Keep that ish
at home
in the comforts of your own home where you won't get your ass whooped. That's all.
WHOO.
It's somewhere down the line. That's what's going to happen. You keep going with that type of behavior. You're going to have a bat wrapped around your neck, or you just going to get whooped. It's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Until you learn to mind your manners.
Yeah.
But we don't condone violence on
No,
this
we
show,
don't. No.
Of course. It's a family show.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't say the word ill. So, it's just unfortunate, man, how people just being I don't know. That can sometimes be a self-correcting problem if he says it to the right person. So, I'm definitely for it. Let me move on. DA, what you got for us for the Niners, man? What you got for us, the Niners?
All right, look, man. This is and remember, football is a very weird game where you can look like Tarzan and play like you're not Tarzan.
Play like Jane.
Yeah, see that there get me canceled, so I just won't say that. But
No.
I will say that. Okay, I think the first round pick. I think overall draft was probably a C or B, depending on how you look at it. We did get all of our needs for sure. We drafted every need we had. We had defensive line, offensive line, guard, thicker receiver, and secondary help. So I think Michael Williams, believe it or not, might have been the best edge rusher in this draft. It was just that he was hurt a lot last year. So we'll see how he came back from injury, but most times Georgia defensive linemen are pretty good if they're not getting in trouble. They're usually pretty good guys, right? Alfred Collins from Texas, the inside linebacker. We let go of Greenlaw, so we needed that. Hopefully he can step up and play this year. Nick Martin from Oklahoma State. He's a tackler, not really known, but he has good tackling numbers. He has like 140 tackles last year, so that means he likes to get around the ball. He's another inside linebacker. DB Upton Stout, Western Kentucky, small school. He's a small guy. I'm not sure where they're going to put him. I think he may be a punt or kick returner if they even do that anymore, and slot. But we already get a good slot. We got a guard from Western Indiana. No, inside D-line. He's actually a D tackle from CJ West from Indiana. He's pretty good. I think he probably got a lot of looks because Indiana won a lot of games last year, and he could stop the run. Jordan Watkins, Ole Miss, big kid, can play. I think he's probably going to be the guy that they think is going to at least get some of Debo's snaps. Fifth round, I think we did pretty good. Jordan James from Oregon, hopefully give some minutes. We lost our backup to McCaffrey. I think a third string to McCaffrey. So we needed that. We lost our safety, so he picked up Marcus Sigel, Kansas State. 7th round, quarterback Curtis Rourke, who will probably be on the practice squad, and got another lineman from Iowa, good size, big dude, play right guard. We picked up a good right guard last year. Is going to start, so I don't think we're going to be bad. So I'll say we're a B. I got really no problem with what we did. To me, I used to get more excited about the draft. I don't anymore. Well, I'd rather wait till after the first or second,
what's that, rookie camp?
Voluntary workout to see who comes, who signed, who gets hurt early, and kind of see, because there's a website called Our Lads, and you can go in there for your team, and it'll show you first, second, third string, and the actual where they have them at as they're going through camp, who's that first string, second string, and third string. So I like to wait on that. The draft is just a dog and pony show, unfortunately. So
that's DA with his San Francisco 49ers, man. That's what's up. Okay. Got you. E, what you got for the Arizona Cardinals? E, you're on the clock.
Yo, for the Arizona Cardinals, man, when you asked me the other day, what you think about the draft, I was like, yeah, I have to see. I know we got a cornerback or whatever. So I did a little bit of homework. Yo, man, I give us a B+, man. Jonathan Gannon, obviously, he came over from Philadelphia. He was the defensive coordinator over there, built a hell of a defense. And he's trying to resurrect that here in the desert. So with this draft, they damn near went all defense. Walter Nolan, Ole Miss D tackle they picked up in the first round, number 16. He has potential. We'll see what he can do. You got Calais Campbell there that can mentor him. See what we can do with that. But that a lot of promise there. We picked up Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. Y'all know I was happy about that because I've been crying for Arizona to draft a friggin' cornerback for at least the last 5-6 years. So we finally got one. The only issue with him is he's been hurt.
Yeah.
And it's probably the reason why he fell to the second round. But hopefully, again, he has potential. So we'll see how that works out. Third round, we picked up Jordan Birch, edge rusher from Oregon, who I believe was also in South Carolina. The jury is still out on him, at least in my opinion. It all depends on how everything else works for him to shine at that position. At first sight, there's nothing special to me about him. But again, these guys play football. He got drafted, so obviously there's something there, right? Cool. And then we got from Ohio State, we went back to back. We got a linebacker and a cornerback. We got Cody Simon. We got Denzel Burke. I feel like that these guys are going to be nothing but depth. However, if Cody Simon, guys get hurt all the time in the league. If Cody Simon can stay hurt, stay mature, be ready, I'm quite sure that his time will come and he may move into that starting role. I see potential there. Sideline to sideline guy. Cool. Denzel Burke. He's all right. Again, nothing special in my eyes, but again, he went in the 5th round. We'll see. And then we got a guard, Hayden Connor from Texas, big boy. And we got I don't want to mess your name up, but I'm gonna try anyway. Keaton Crawford, safety out of Nevada. We'll see if he makes the team or not. We always have room for offensive linemen here in this league, so I'm sure Connor will stay around. But yeah, I give it a B+, man. I'm interested to see how our coach is going to manifest this defense in the next year or two. So that's my take on the Cardinals.
Gotcha. That's the Arizona Cardinals by the one and only, the angry one, James Eric. Thank you. Dan, you are on the clock.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You missed that the other night, E.
Yeah, you missed that the other night, E. Yeah.
I was kind of happy with what the Steelers did. But I'll be completely honest, when we had our 21st pick, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Shedeur," and I was like, "No," and they picked Darren Harmon, and I gave an audible WTF, and I was like, "Who?" And then I got to looking, and I was like, "Hey, this guy's pretty good. He's 6'5", 313 interior lineman for Oregon, big physical guy. Hayward's getting up in years, so him come in and mentor him and get him up to speed. I think he'll be a good addition to our 3-4 defense in the middle or at one of the tackles. And second pick, well, I guess it was the 3rd round. Which I can't remember which round we didn't have a pick. I think it might have been second, but they picked up the running back from Iowa, Caleb Johnson, a 6'1", 224. He had like 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns last year. We got Warren and we got Gainwell, a little bit smaller guys or whatever. We all know Warren. He may be small, but he's a physical guy. But now we got a big back that he's not like, 4.2 speed, but he's fast and he can score touchdowns off his runs. Smart runner, patient runner. I'm glad it's funny that our offense has been just putrid since probably the last year of Ben's career or whatever, and forward, and we pick a defensive guy right off the bat. But then they went with Johnson, the running back, and then in the 4th round we picked up the linebacker Sawyer from Ohio State. 6'4", 260. I think he's gonna.
Sawyer's a monster.
Yeah.
I know to have him as an edge, but if this dude could play in the middle the way he can, shed tackles and actually tackle people, I think that'll be good. If not, right, you got TJ now, and you got Highsmith, but we also got Herbig, and now maybe Sawyer will be the guys that fill in behind them when they need a spell. So like that, and then I'm not sure how this guy's first name is pronounced, but is it Yaya Black from Iowa? 6'6", 336 defensive tackle.
Damn.
Like,
yikes,
dude. Yeah, we're talking, they went after some tree trunks, some redwoods. So, same thing. The offense or defensive line's getting old. They're going to have to replace some of these guys in the coming future. 6'5", 313, 6'6", 336. Good luck moving them.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, guys. And before we get to Kev, think about us three. All three of our teams pick majority, if not all, defensive players. Just think about that. I think I got 8 running back and a wide receiver out of 7 or 8 draft picks. I think I got 1 offensive line. I got 3 out of 8. I think 5 are defensive guys. It's real in the field. Getting the quarterback down matters. Not letting teams run on you matters. So.
Oh no, but you need high flying offense.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't matter. Ask Burrow.
Yeah. Yep. That's like, man, it's right in front of your faces, fans. Yeah, it's right in front of your faces, guys. Like,
they were close ones.
Like Josh Allen is good, but he's a lot better if his defense is playing well.
Facts.
Yeah. But like 6th round, we went and got Will Howard, the national championship quarterback out of Ohio State. And I really like this dude. He's 6'4", 236.
And he got an attitude.
And he could play. Like, he made the little blunder against the Michigan where, he didn't get the timeout and they ran the clock out or whatever. And that kind of fueled him for the rest of the season, and they won the Natty. He had a pretty damn good game in the national championship game, too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a couple 7th rounders. Carson Bruner, I believe it's Mark Bruner's son. I think he's one of our scouts, a linebacker out of Washington.
Right.
And then the last pick that we had was Dante Kent out of Central Michigan, a cornerback. Couldn't really find a whole lot on him, like stats, height, anything. So, we took all D and a running back and a quarterback.
Tony boy, serious out there in those NFL streets. Go ahead, Kevin. Get out.
All right, the New York Giants are on the clock. New York Giants
on the clock.
So they took at the 3rd pick. They took Abdul Carter. He's the edge from Penn State. I think he absolutely adds some more oomph to the Giants because they went back and got the defensive tackle in the 3rd round. They got my man from Toledo, Darius Alexander. And I think for the Giants, so you got Thibodeau on one end, and you're gonna have this guy Abdul Carter on the other end. And I think the Giants, they D-line, it's promising, man. So hopefully, they can, work together and get after the quarterback. One of the
I still got Brian Burns too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Burns, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, who the Panthers just really gave away, but shout out to the Panthers.
Yeah, thanks to the Panthers.
Panthers had a great draft. Go ahead.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. But let me get back to this. One of the notable things that Abdul Carter, he requested LT's number, and LT eloquently declined. It says, no, make number 11 great.
Yeah, make 11 great again.
Yes. So that's what that. Y'all know. And so the Giants moved up. They traded and they got Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart came out of Ole Miss. Somebody saying that he's an Eli Manning clone or whatever. I don't think so. This guy's a project, so to speak. He's going to be developed. You have Russell Wilson and you have Jameis Winston on the team already, right?
And Danny DeVito.
Go ahead.
You got DeVito too.
Can't forget him.
Hold on, y'all breaking up.
Danny DeVito.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was a little lagging.
Hey, yeah. DeVito. Hey,
Danny DeVito, right? So you got
it's not Danny, it's Tommy.
Tommy DeVito. See, I got Danny's the actor. I know.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Now,
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
No,
it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
I know, right? So they got those teams. So the Giants are going to be able to develop Dart. I think one of the funniest things I seen over the weekends was his interview with what's my man? What's the coach? What's the former coach? He has the sessions with these quarterbacks. Gruden. Yeah, and me and DA was talking about that. He said, "Hey, what do y'all call? Yeah, go ahead, Dan. What do they do?
What's the snap count?
Like,
what's the audible? Purple.
Like, what the?
That's a tough one to figure out.
But that's what goes on and right now, right? You got the 7-on-7 culture. Not too many, playing under the center and all that stuff. So
as long as the pro game keeps trying to copy the college game, that's what you're going to get.
Well, I find that funny, DA, how the pro game is following the college game is not vice versa. So
it used to be.
Yeah.
Hence why all the defensive players
right
drafted.
So the Giants, they try to shore up their O-line from Purdue, Marcus Milbo, excuse me. He has a tendency to be in having some injury history, so hopefully he can stay healthy. Then you got Thomas Fedone from Nebraska. He was picked in round 7. He was highly recruited from reports, but they're saying there could be a reliability issue. So, meaning he could develop into being reliable as a reliable target, I should say. Excuse me, I said that a little bit wrong. So, and then you got the cornerback. You got Corey Black from Oklahoma State. They said he played 38 games. He's known for being aggressive and a ball hawk, so to speak. So the Giants, they went after for their secondary, and that was pretty much it. So if I was to give the Giants a grade, I think I would give them. I think the Giants did. I would say a B+. B+.
Man, listen, I think when you go into the draft and you see that you got needs at X amount of positions, if you address them
right
the best you can, where you can, that's all. Because you never know who's going to be a star.
No,
there was a bunch of Tom Brady's and not to sound funny, ABs and guys from smaller schools, directional schools, which is Northwest, Southeast schools that can really play when they get on the field. They just were not highly touted coming out of high school, but developed into something in college. So, I think it's as long as you address what you need, that's all you're supposed to do, if you can. Except for Pittsburgh, because y'all didn't address quarterback. But there is magic and spells.
So we addressed the quarterback. We got Will Howard. You giggle. What about Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant? Now he's a starting quarterback for the 49ers. And I know you're going to get your panties in a bunch because you don't like.
Here we go.
He can't win you games.
I'm going to say, and I think Eric, as a fan of my rival in my division, will tell you, just like my boy we just talked about. I'm not going to say that's what I'm not going to talk about no more. Purdy was a passenger on the bus to the Super Bowl. He didn't drive the bus.
He doesn't need to drive the bus.
Right.
You shouldn't need a quarterback to drive the bus.
That's right. So that's why we're not paying him that money. So we can pay the rest of these dudes. I think he can play. Everybody jumps on my back. And I'm like, listen, I think he can play. But if you ask me if that kid's worth $50 million a year, I'm saying we'll get rid of him. I'm telling you we will. And if we don't, I'll burn this hat.
But see, I think that's the problem with the NFL right now. Is everybody expects you got to have a Josh Allen, you got to have a Patrick Mahomes, you got to have this great quarterback.
No, you don't.
And Trent Dilfer's sitting at him going, "No, you don't.
Yeah, Brad.
Let me hand the ball off and let my defense play great defense." And Jim McMahon, he didn't have to do. He could have been back there drunk off his ass, and they would have won the games.
Yes,
because that defense scored more points than the other team.
Only Roethlisberger didn't throw any passes his Super Bowl win. His first one. But the second time he was a monster. But
yeah,
he was a youngster.
That's the problem is teams keep and the Browns started the trend by paying that guy a gazillion guaranteed money, and he's played like 10 games, and that just changed the entire QB market. So now you got Trevor Lawrence making $50 million, and they haven't even probably sniffed the playoffs since he's been there.
Stop! I must have been in a funk. I watched the Wheel of Time. I'm a nerd. How much are they paying Trevor Lawrence?
He's getting like 50.
Yeah, they'll never be good. I'm just telling you, they'll never be good.
But that's what I'm saying. They're paying these guys because what Cleveland did, giving that guaranteed contract, up the market. And that's the thing is you don't need, like, that's why I'm anti having Aaron Rodgers. We don't need that kind of guy. We need a consistent guy that can throw the ball to the right team and get first downs and be able to run the football, play good defense. And if you have an awesome defense, you can get by without having a monster quarterback.
Did you just see that?
Yeah, I'm not. Ooh.
Yeah, it's close. It's 50. It's 55.
I'm a little busy right now. I'm like, whoa. What happened with that guy?
I should have put that in the private chat. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is making 55 large ones. Go ahead.
So for the rest of the world, like we know, we all, I guess, download Pittsburgh guys because we either love. I mean, from the 70s now. Mark Malone was good. Cordell Stewart was good. If you have a format of how you're playing, we're going to run the ball, make short passes, and play defense. That's been working since the 70s, dog. Why do you think all these teams are getting these defensive players? Because they're saying, we're not paying these dudes. Right? So, look, you give Josh the money. They gave Dak the money. They gave Trevor the money, right? Deshaun got the money, right? So up next is who? They say, my guy Purdy. What's up with dude in Texas is better than Purdy, right?
Stroud
is better than
yes, I can agree on that. Yes, sir.
Has a higher ceiling. It is what it is, right? And I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's right for what we need him for. I do. But I don't think we should overpay for him. That's all. Because we have to pay whoever we got. We lost so many free agents just this year with them thinking about paying this guy. The pain of paying him would just be like selling the team.
Right.
We lost Greenlaw, Olga, I call him young hair guy. What's your guy's name? I'm Dan from Pittsburgh.
Obiganobi.
That was there with Ryan Clark. The safety with all the hair.
Oh, Paul
Polamalu. That's Polamalu's dude. Came from USC. He's good. He was hurt a lot last year. We let go of him and Greenlaw. Got there and both in Denver because we're thinking about having to pay Purdy. You can't win doing that, fellas. I mean, like, your window is short anyway, right? I think Philly has it right. Like, they could actually win another 4.
I keep saying that formula. Yep.
With the defense they have, the running back they have, offensive line they have, and quarterback they have, and the touch push, they could probably win 3-4 Super Bowls. Easy. So I don't know. I don't know why guys want to pay. And I think just like the situation, everybody believes the situation was with Shedeur, maybe it's just the pushback of the league, the people saying, look, we know what we're doing. And we're not going to let, the 4-letter networks or the 3-letter networks tell us who we're paying our money to. Unless you're going to have a quarterback salary cap just for them, you can't conduct a team paying somebody $55 million a year. And that's with the salary structure going on, which it is. Impossible.
Gotcha. Definitely is. So I guess we have finished the wrapping up the draft. That's it for the 2025 draft. And like I said, mini camp will start and all that stuff, and we'll see how the new draftees do while they're in camp and all that stuff. We got hockey. What the hockey do? I'm glad he's here tonight. He's with us tonight. Not like he's no guest or anything like that. But I'm glad Dan is here tonight. He worked over the weekend, man, and I'm glad he was able to find a little oomph to get up because every series is tied up at 2. No, which one is not tied up at 2?
It's going to be Washington.
Washington. Sorry. Yeah, Washington is 3-1, right?
So here's the funny part.
That's why the hockey dude is here, not me. See,
the Western Conference all tied at 2.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
Eastern Conference, if Florida wins tonight, they will all be 3-1.
During the second period, it's tied 0-0.
So you got Washington is up 3-1, Carolina's up 3-1, Toronto's up 3-1, and this is 2-1 this series because we all know that they started behind. And man, they got to get that bug off the camera. This is annoying. But anyway, it's right in the middle of the play on the screen. But so Tampa, they're behind because they started a little bit behind. I think probably because of building availability. So this is only game 4 where everybody else has already played for. And then Colorado and Dallas, they play the late game tonight. So that's the only 2 games that we got going tonight. But yeah, what a weekend. And I don't know, has anybody been watching any of these games? E, you been watching any?
I think he's frozen.
I haven't been watching per se, but of course I been keeping up with what's been going on with the Canes at least.
So the Washington-Montreal series. If you have not watched this series, by all means, please just tune in a little bit for the when is their next game? It's probably like
tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow night.
3-1. Yeah, tomorrow
Wednesday.
Night.
Yeah, Wednesday night.
Okay.
It's Wednesday night and Washington. But oh my goodness, how much fun is this series has been? So Friday night, I don't know, like I said, how many people tuned into this? This, like I've said, Montreal is not playing like they are a wild card team. Nope. They are playing like they've been in the playoffs all year. And Washington is kind of fortunate that they're up 3-1 the way this is going. Because what was it? So they won 6-3 on Friday in Montreal. Was it Montevo, the goaltender? He got hurt. So they had to bring in the backup goalie, Dobies. And this kid played out of his mind. Like, he's 6'4". He looks huge in net. But to come in cold, he played really, really well and gave his team a chance. But as Kevin has up here, they had a little fun at the end of the second period. And Mr. Anderson and Mr. Wilson decided to do a little dance on the bench. And like this poor linesman, he's fighting for, trying to keep these two apart. And then, of course, all 3 of them hit the deck and are laying on the bench. And there ain't a lot of room on the bench between where you sit and where the boards are. So they were pretty sardined into that area. And what was funny is I think they both got 2 and a 10. And that was it out of all this. But they had quite the scene here in between the period. And, what I thought was really hilarious, they had the 2 rookies, the defenseman Hudson for Montreal in the red. And then they had Leonard for Washington in the white. And they almost looked like they were holding hands, standing watching all this chaos go on. Because both of, like, Hudson's been there all year, but Leonard just came up at the end of the season after his college career was over. So, like, they're just like, wow, soaking it in. But, like, this series has been so hard-hitting.
Yes.
Like, the first 2 games, besides the goaltender for Montreal, they brought in Abner XJ, the defenseman, the sheriff, and game 3 at home, they tried to set the tone a little bit. And poor, like I always love to say, you either love Tom Wilson or you hate him. And Kev, you know what I call him.
Yeah.
But like they've been going after him all series.
Yep.
And he's been getting lit up quite a bit. And they had that incident with the second period, and then they won the game and blah blah blah. Well, I guess last night they played, and I don't know if anybody caught it, but they had the linesman over by the Capitals bench, and then they had the referee kind of a little bit by the center circle where the circle goes around, and then they had the other referees on the other side. And Tom Wilson tried to go out to the center, and the referee's like, "Nope, you got to stay over here." And then XJ tried to come up and skate in front of the bench, and the linesman hurry up, scooted over, and goes, "Nope, you got to go the long way around." Like they know what's going on, and what these teams, what they're trying to do, and they're like, "This, we're not having that on our watch." But most of these games have been super close to the end. Like even last night's game, it was 3-2 going in, like 3.5 minutes or so left in the game. They got a couple empty netters, Washington, to make it look, more better, the score better than it actually was. They won 5-2, but it was really a close game. And like I said, even if Montreal doesn't get another game out of the series, they lose the next one and they're done. Their future is very bright. They have a ton of young, good players, and they're playing extremely well. So for that series, they may be done, but they are playing definitely great hockey.
What I can say, Dan, like you said, they've been very physical. Like I said, both games, of course, all the games have been physical. And the fact that the referees have been letting them play. And I think that's a good detriment. But like you said, Montreal they're here to stay, man. They keep on playing.
They got a bright future. Like Caulfield's playing great, Suzuki's playing great. They got the young kid Hudson on D. He's doing very well. Montalvo, unfortunately, he got hurt. But even the other guy, Dubies, that came in for him, he's been playing outstanding too. And like what really is crazy to me is I watched that game on Friday, and Montalvo got hurt early, and then Logan and Thompson, the goaltender for Washington, the guy from Montreal came down and scored, and I think it was Duhane possibly or Strome that was trying to back check him, and the guy scored, and they just absolutely railroaded their own goaltender. Like they flattened him, and like he could barely put any weight on his one leg, and they took him off and had to bring in the backup. And I turned the game on, Sunday, and I was like, this dude could barely get off the ice, and he's back again on Sunday, and he played phenomenal. And lucky for Washington, they got him playing in net for him, because he's been saving their bacon quite a bit. Some of the 10 bell saves that he's been making, it's just crazy. But like East Hurricanes, they're taking care of the Devils. Like I said, Devils are missing some guys, but even still, I think the forecheck and stuff that Carolina has is just relentless, and they just keep pressing. They keep pressing.
And what's his name out for the Devils?
Hughes.
Yeah, Jack Hughes is out.
Yeah, and I don't know if Dylan came back yet or not, or Cody Glass. But that's one of those things. Like Carolina, they've been playing really well. Like Washington, they've been kind of, all these games have been close and they've been pulling them out late, where Carolina has pretty much handled the business, other than the game that they lost in Jersey, the first one. And then like Toronto and Ottawa finally got a win the other night in overtime, but that's the third game that's gone to overtime. This could be easily the other way around, where it's Ottawa up 3-1. All it takes is a bounce in the overtime. But like I said, Toronto shored up their goaltending. The defense is playing better in front of them. It's going to be a tough hill for Ottawa. But the only concern to me is, you're struggling with Ottawa where you're a much better team than them. What's going to happen when you play Tampa or Florida? You better hope that those two teams beat the wheels off each other and they got nothing left for when they get to play Toronto. And getting to the Tampa Bay Florida series, the home team hasn't won yet. Florida won both in Tampa.
That's right. Yeah.
Tampa won the other night. I think it was 5-2, and right now it's 0-0. But this series is going to be This is dogfight. This is kind of like Colorado and Dallas. Like, it's possible whoever wins this goes the rest of their way.
Well, wait a minute, Dan. So you really think that, me and you have talked about that. Tampa Bay has played a lot of hockey. Would you say the last 5-6 years? They've gone deep runs into the Stanley Cup.
But they've also revamped their roster.
Okay.
Vasilevsky, Hedman, and Kucherov, and to a point, Braden Point too. But now they got Gensel in there that hasn't been.
Yeah.
Got
him from the Penguins.
Yeah, Stamkos moved on. So they've. A lot of them have played a lot of hockey, but they've kind of revamped the roster. Bringing in some other players, losing some other players, to where like Florida, they've gone to the finals the last 2 years. That would be a lot, of hockey for them playing that many games, because you figure, you're not playing 4 games a series. It's usually probably 5, 6, 7, and you're playing 4 rounds of that. So, but same thing with Tampa or Florida. Now they got Marchand. They brought him in. Ekblad, who's missed 20-some games, is back. Tkachuk, he hadn't played since the Four Nations, so he's pretty healthy. And then you got Seth Jones that they picked up from Chicago. That he'd been in Chicago, he ain't seen the playoffs in a while. So that's with these championship teams. You're going to lose some guys because other teams see the value and what they bring to a team in the playoffs. That's the GM and such's job is to try to find other players to bring in to kind of fill that void that those players left. But that's kind of like what the East is going on right now. It'll be interesting to see if Tampa can pull this out and even the series up and make it 2-2.
I think one of the most, if you're going to the West, I think one of the most intriguing series that I've watched some is the Winnipeg and St. Louis.
Edmonton.
The first, that one too. They was crazy in that first game, in LA. But the Winnipeg and St. Louis series, for the fact that St. Louis has played, they had the whole dynamic. They got my main man from Boston, the coach.
Montgomery,
he's coaching. And then they playing hot down the stretch. And then when they go in, I said, well, damn, how did they not? Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, 1-0 Florida. Lindell just buried one.
Yeah, I just see it.
So go, continue.
No, and how, St. Louis is playing great in the beginning. Down the stretch. And Winnipeg, who's the what?
President's Cup?
When Dad used to tell me this stuff, I didn't believe it. And I don't know.
I think Chicago was the last team that had the most points and won the cup. And that was 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that St. Louis series against Winnipeg, like you said, St. Louis has been hot, but now you got Bennington in the playoffs. Now it matters. You know what I mean? And look what he did in the Four Nations when the games mattered. Mm-hmm. He played amazing.
Yes.
And, he's a little bit sometimes of a hothead, but when you play that many games in a regular season, I would assume that sometimes you get bored back there in the net and, you just want to get involved in the game. But, it's one of those things where St. Louis has a pretty good team top to bottom. And then you look at, I saw a image earlier of Hellebuck, and like he's awesome regular season, like 2-something goals against, like 36 wins, phenomenal. And then I saw this like picture. It was basically a picture of him in the stats, and it was like Vegas 0-4 in the playoffs. They got swept. He averaged like 5 goals, 4.5, probably 5 goals against in that series. And then the next series, it was like he only gave up 3 goals once out of all the games. They lost that series. And then they had the statistics for this series. Like the other night, I think they won 3-1. And then like the other one or whatever, they gave up 4. But like he gave up 5 the other night. Well, he might not give up 5. They pulled him and brought in the other guy. But that's what I'm saying. Like the playoffs is a different animal. It's like the pressure is so much. And like all it takes is like you see if you watch the Minnesota game, I think it was the Edmonton game last night. Bouchard was in the slot and the puck just came to him and he just chucked it at the net. It was going 3 feet wide, but it happened to hit Doughty's shin pad and cut back in and scored. And that helped propel them. I think that tied the game 3-3, and they end up winning in overtime. So it's just like, stuff like that. And it's like, as a goalie, you got to be locked in. And right now, Bennington is, St. Louis is, and they go back to Winnipeg. Like I told you, like, I don't know that Winnipeg gets out of this series. I mean, they should, just by, goaltending and such. But it wouldn't shock me. The curse is real.
The curse is real.
And then, the next series in that series, playing it later tonight, is Colorado and Dallas. And I would love to see the stat because I know the last time I saw it that the Dallas Stars had led a minute 32, something like that, in the entire series.
Yikes.
Colorado has had the lead almost every game, all game. And like Dallas has come back to tie the game late, send it to overtime, and win it in overtime. What is this? Let me look at the series. So Colorado won the first game 5-1, and then Dallas won 4-3 in overtime in game 2 at Dallas. Game 3, they won 2-1 in overtime. And then this past Saturday, the real Colorado Avalanche showed up, and they they pretty much played their game. They played their game, and they won 4-0. And like I said, this to me is one of those series where whoever wins this, I think, is going to go to the conference final. Okay. Unless you got one of these teams that just absolutely gets on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, and then, they're playing tonight. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes in Colorado tonight. If like Colorado can close the door when they get the lead and not let Dallas back in the game. Because essentially they led both games. This could have been a sweep. But they lost in overtime, the 2 games. And then the third series in this one is Minnesota and Vegas. And like there's a common theme in like these last 3 series in the West. Minnesota was up late in this game on game 4, and they let Vegas back into the game, and they end up scoring the last 2 goals of the game. So it was like, Vegas went up 1-0. Minnesota tied it 1-1. Then they went up 2-1. Vegas went back, made it 3-2. Minnesota tied it 3-3, and then they lost in overtime. But like Minnesota, they're playing very well in this series. They got Kaprizov back, which is a huge, huge plus for them. And Gustafson's been playing really well in that. And for them, it's going to be, can we finish this off? Because I saw where in their franchise history went up 2-1. They've never got to 3-1. And that would have been huge. If they could have got to 3-1 going back to Vegas for game 5, game 5, that would have been huge. But this is one of those other series where it's like you can't blink. Or the next thing you know, bam, bam, goal after goal. But I think, I like Minnesota coming out of this. I don't know why. I just like the way they play and how they move the puck and how fast that they play. And they get physical. But Vegas is a big, strong team. They can just will their way, when it late to get a goal. So they play Tuesday. They play tomorrow night.
Yeah, the overtime game the other night. How they won that game? Yeah.
Yeah, with Barbashev.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good goal from him. And then the last series, I think, is one of the better series. Like, not the better played series, but one of the better to watch. Because if you're a casual fan and you don't like 1-0 defensive hockey, I get that. But just watching people get smashed into the glass, I get that. But like,
that's cool too.
That's awesome. But sometimes you want to see the red light go off.
Yes.
And this series is like, I don't like, Darcy Kemper's a really good goaltender for LA, but like they just need to change the scoreboard when it goes to the third period. Change it to 4 because they cannot hold a lead in the third period. First game of the series, they won 6-5. They were up like 5-3, and they came back and tied it 5-5. Edmonton did late, and luckily they were able to score a goal to make it 6-5 with 40 seconds left to win that game.
Excuse me, man.
It's 1-1. Yeah, yeah.
1-1. And on Florida.
Yeah, it looked like a deflection, redirect. Oh no, it was a rebound. Yep. He didn't tie a stick up. No. Mr. Boquist, you don't let him get to that puck. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But LA came back game 2 and they stomped them 6-2. And then they went to Edmonton for the game 3. And this game, like this series has been bonkers to me because again, LA was up 3-2, or it's 4-3 at the end of the second. And then Edmonton scored the next 4 goals. And Kane scored a goal. He was in the crease. They score again? Oh, my God.
Yeah, they did. I thought it was a replay.
Yep, Cernak scored now. But, so they had a play in around the net, and it looked like Kane kind of moved the goaltender's leg out of the way so he could put the puck in the net, which you can't do. But so LA challenged it. And, of course, replay ruled against them. So if you challenge a play and you're wrong, you get an additional penalty for delay a game. So not only did they give up a goal, then they put Edmonton on the power play, and it took like 8 seconds, and they scored again. So it went from being 4-4 to 6-4 in a blink of an eye. And that they just lost the momentum. And then I watched, it was last night.
Mm-hmm.
They were up again, going in third.
Again.
Yeah, was it 3-1 going into third. And as much as I bag on the goaltending of Edmonton and the defense, this Bouchard dude, Evan, this dude's got 4 goals in the last 2 games. He had the game game's second goal for them, and then he got the game tire. But that's what I was saying earlier. So Draisaitl came up to the blue line and was curling to the middle where he was stationed. So he had to move out of the way. So he just moved into the top high slot. And when Draisaitl threw the puck to the net, Doughty just kind of got weak backhand on it and knocked it kind of out. And he just slapped at it, and it hit the leg. Karam, like I said, it was 3 feet wide and Karam into the net. So, like they say, no shot in the playoffs is a bad shot. You never know what's going to hit.
What kind of bounce? The net, yes.
Yeah, there's no bad shot. Just put it on net. And, that's what they did, and they tied it up. And then, boom, Draisaitl, wins it in overtime. They did have a power play in the overtime, which, kind of hurt the LA there. But, they're 2-2. They go back. That's the thing. LA's the best home team in the league. So
yes,
all they got to do is hold serve at home. They got to find a way to slow them down in the third period. And I don't know if anybody saw the goal that Corey Perry scored to make it 2-1.
Yep.
He just flipped a backhand. Kemper made a blocker save, knocked the puck up in the air. Literally, like shoulder height, he just took a stick hit the puck out of midair, bounced it over the goalie to the other side, and then slapped it out of midair about 6 inches off the ice to put it in the net. Like the hand-eye coordination, it was unbelievable. Like that's a highlight goal.
Gotcha.
But I'm looking forward to, a couple more of these games now that we're getting closer to the series getting close to ending. Like I said, Toronto's fortunate that, they've won their overtime game. So is Dallas. And, when we get to the nitty gritty here and we get the second round, it's going to be, who plays who, and can teams shore up their issues from the first round? Because, going to overtime with Ottawa is a little bit different than going to overtime with Tampa or Florida.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm just looking forward to it's going to stink because there's been at least 4 hockey games on a day, and then we're going to lose half the field.
Real quick, Dan, did you mention Sullivan yet? I'm sorry.
Not yet. And this paves the way for the New York Rangers to find their new coach.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take it.
Good luck. But no, like this has been in the making for a couple seasons. Like they haven't made, like, big thing is haven't made the playoffs, right? You got Sidney Crosby, you got Malkin, you got Letang, you got Carlson, you got all these good players, but you can't make the playoffs.
Right.
And a lot of, even back a few years ago, the coach wouldn't play the young kids. They got all these good kids. Like Wilkes-Barre's been playing great in the AHL, and finally, they had enough injuries late season that they had to bring some of these kids up, and you got a chance to see what they could do. And it's like, get them some experience, let them, figure out what they're going to do going forward. Cause like, if you don't let these kids play in the NHL against top competition, you're doing yourself a disservice because you don't know what you have.
Yeah.
And you may be going fishing for something you don't need because you already have it, but you just haven't, experienced what that person can do. And like Sully wasn't a big guy on playing, young kids. And luckily Rangers got a lot of, how would you say that?
Veteran talent.
I was going to say AARP card holders.
Old guys.
Veteran talent there, buddy.
That they could, he could skirt around having to play rookies or young kids again. But, I think he would be good for you guys. It's just, I think it's got to the point where they keep missing the playoffs. And there's like I always say,
that can't keep happening. Nope.
Who's easier to fire? 21 players or one
coach?
And it's always going to be the coach.
Yeah, you got to go.
And like I think him and Dubas sat down and they both like, look,
this ain't working.
We're not getting anywhere. I know you're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Do you want a new start? Let's go our separate ways. Let me get somebody else in here. You're going to find another position. Go succeed, somewhere else because you're going to.
That's how grown-ups do it.
Yeah, and he's a good coach, and they just said, okay, let's they agreed to, hey, let's do that. And what I'm curious is
hockey.
Who we bringing in? Like we were talking about the Rangers.
Are you doing a swap?
No. Here's my thing. They've already probably got the coach already on the bench that they should hire.
Gotcha.
And I say that, and I'm trying to think of his damn name, but he's the assistant coach. I can't believe I can't think of his name. I'm having a brain fart. He coached here in Charlotte for the Checkers.
You got David Quinn. You got Mike Vellucci.
Vellucci. Great guy. Like I said, that's back when I had season tickets, and you get to see him, the players coming in through the restaurant, going to the ice and stuff, and see his interviews and stuff. He's a very good coach, and I would like to see him get the opportunity. And he coached Ned, Nedeljkovic, our goalie, while they were here when they won the Calder in 2019. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go for coach, direction as far as what style they're going to play, etc. Because I'm sure the philosophy or the structure is going to change a little bit. It always does per coach. It might be close to the same, but there's always a tweak. But it needed to be done. Like, he's the best coach in Penguins history as far as wins, most Stanley Cups, all that stuff. And sometimes, unlike the Steelers, sometimes it's time to move on.
Hey. Ooh, shots fired. Strays.
I like Coach T, but we're at the same kind of position that the Penguins are in.
Should I play your theme music now or later?
Yeah. I'm just saying, we've been going down the same road for the last 10 miles, 15 miles, aka years, and we're still hitting the same pothole. We all know Pennsylvania's full of potholes. You got to know where they're at and make adjustments. And neither one of these two was wanted to do that. And it was time to get somebody else to take over, a new voice, fresh voice, and see where it goes from there. It could get worse. Who knows? But, it just wasn't working. And you're not going to waste the last 2-3 possible years of Crosby's career having him watching the playoffs.
No,
especially when he's putting up like 90 points a year at 37.
Hey, he can still do it. He just needs some things around him, a little structure.
Gotcha.
And a goaltender.
Yeah. Well, they don't grow on trees, though.
What else was, Dan, before we move on to the NBA and then we get on out of here?
I think that's pretty much it for the NHL. Like you said, we'll get back into it, second round here. See who advances, because we'll probably be in the second round by the time I get back.
He's Dan K, the hockey dude. Dan, he's a hockey dude, man. Let's go on to the NBA real quick. There seems to be a power outage, in Dade County in Miami, where the Miami, Heat play at, because they're down by almost 40, 72-33.
Half. They scored 72 points in the first half.
Which one is worse, 72 points or 33 points being scored by Miami?
Listen, like it would be cool if the 33 was scored by the other team as well. This is a wrap, dog. This NBA thing is weird to me, because you'll see such good basketball and then you'll just see this. So maybe we do need to go to that 16 teams, no matter who it is, just the best 16 teams. Because maybe Miami was not supposed to be there.
Oh, this is awful. This is going to be an awful sweep here. Well, not an awful sweep for Cleveland. Cleveland's the best of the creme de la creme, right? But this is bad. 33 points at the half, and like you said, Cleveland.
Statement time, brothers. Statement time. So Cleveland saw, I think, Boston win. and they saw OKC close it out. Like they can't not hold serve and close it out. So yeah. It's real. It's real. So I don't have much to say, Kev. Man, the NBA this weekend I thought was pretty good. I think the Lakers are going to get packed up. Unfortunately, I think the Rockets are going to get packed up.
Yeah, but they're coming.
OKC packed up Memphis.
Yeah, I
think the Knicks are going to. It's going to be a little harder, and I'll explain why. Like the back talk with the refs and the coaches now, because in yesterday's game, even though the last foul was missed, I will not say it wasn't. It was missed, and I am a Knicks fan. But we got to know that I think in yesterday's game, Detroit shot 30 free throws, and the Knicks shot 19.
Facts.
So, the calls were a little bit off. The referees are still, it's not like baseball where I can really rally and have robots out there.
Some of them are subjective, and some of them.
But everything got to be. I think every call, if you're going to have it, you just have to have a time limit on the time you can look at it, right? So you say it's 60 seconds, no matter what the hell it is. Get on it, look in the booth, make sure y'all got it, and if you don't agree, odds even. Odds thing says shoot, boom. But we can't have a situation. I don't believe where we're standing there for an hour looking over a call. You make the call right or wrong. Right or wrong.
Well, I think with this, and what even puts wound on this, salt in the wound of Detroit Piston fans when the NBA comes out and say, "Hey guys, by the way, we missed that."
We blew it, but that happens a lot though. It's not like that's not the first time it's happened.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. If you got the rule, and you can have a call within the last 5 minutes and say we're going to look at it. Right, because it's within the last 2-3 minutes, whatever the hell it is, you make the rules, not my league, and you say, okay, then we can take a look at it. You don't have to have a challenge or that shit. Look, okay, this call is a little iffy. Let's look at the screen and see what we got.
Right,
get it right, because that's what it's about, getting it right. At least I thought that's what we were doing. So, but because they were beating up Brunson a lot of the game. A lot of fouls back and forth, not called. I kind of like it.
They was playing physical this week. That game. It was kind of a throwback. I was like, wow. Did the refs leave their whistle inside the?
I have no problem with it, man. I'm watching.
No, listen to me. Hear me out. I loved it. I said, okay, we're playing fit. We're kind of reverting back. I loved it. You heard me all year. I said, yo, I'll watch you guys play defense, stop load managing, and compete. I'll watch.
Yeah, I'm good.
I watch. The Knicks Detroit series has been very good. Like you said, I'm with you. I think Minnesota packs up the Lakers tomorrow night. JJ Redick.
What?
JJ Redick. Remember, you can make substitutions in the second half.
You can.
It doesn't cost you anything unless you don't have.
That's the same Tibbs shit. I guess your excuse is you don't have anybody on the bench to play.
Yeah, Bronny's on the bench. Get out of here. Don't even come out with that.
Yes, sir.
Don't even come with that. They got people on the bench. They got Bronny.
Yep. He's there. And actually, Bronny left about 5 seconds early yesterday. He had somewhere to go. He's somewhere to go. 5 seconds early. He bounced out. They said
they played. What's his name? Jackson. What's the center? They played him for like 4 minutes, and that was it.
I guess Jackson and maybe the great coach, the genius,
JJ Redick.
I'm not
the red hour back of our time.
Yeah, that guy. I think maybe he missed him, but and then again, I'm sorry, America. Hate me, just hate me. I am tired of hearing that the man's 40 years old. We know how old he is. We know how old he is. So, when you go to work, Mike Bristow, and you're 55 years old, say, hey, Mike's here with a pencil at 55. Yay! That doesn't happen. If you can't do the job because of your age, you quit. That's it. So he had some turnovers as usual yesterday, and they're really not a good shooting team. So when it was dimes to dollars and we needed the AR-15 to bust off, bop, 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 we got the AR-22. Kevin, please. The sound effect for
the AR-22.
So, listen, man. I hate when they give nicknames to players too early because it makes other players want to kill them. I think Luka. Oh yeah, okay. Here's another one. We're gonna get a lot on this one. Maybe Luka was the problem in Dallas. Just saying. Hell of a player. He's a victim on defense for sure. For sure, he's a victim. Even when he's trying, he ain't trying because he don't get in shape, dog. The cat don't get. He's in the same shape he's been in, and because nobody forces him to do it, he can't play defense because he can't move his feet. The dude tripped like 3 times going over half court. You just can't push Reed and keep going. Hey, listen, man, I don't hate the Lakers, man. I really don't. I just think it's bad basketball that they're playing, and they could do a lot better for real. Like they should be up. They're the higher ranked team. They should be up. Right. But the good thing for the Knicks is that if we win, I think we match up a little bit better with Boston, at least the starters, but not like their bench because Boston is really deep. But hey, who knows? I'm not that, hey, anytime it can happen, you got to have heart. That's not me. I don't think the Knicks are going to win the championship, though. But, they can keep playing and maybe next year get some more players and do what they do. So,
gotcha.
It's been good basketball. I don't have a problem watching it at all.
Gotcha.
At least some teams.
Gotcha.
This crap on right now, I'm turning off. I'm going to watch Harry.
Oh, no, that's a power outage down there. They got it going on. I'm actually watching. There's actually at least here in South Florida, at least the Panthers are doing well. So South Florida fans, y'all got the Panthers, man. I don't know what's going on in Dade County. I was told that we're not on YouTube. I don't know what's going on. We'll fix it the next time. We're sorry for all those for our YouTube people, but we're on other places. But I don't know what happened, man. But listen, we're gonna get on out of here, man. No party shots on Monday nights because we just do what we do. Hey, on behalf of myself, for Dan, for DA, for James, Eric, and the rest of the crew, for Ryan, for Mike, D Dubs, man. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast. Y'all be good, be great, man. Be blessed. Hey, we'll catch you Thursday, 7:30 p.m., man. 7:30 p.m., man. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Peace. Wait, peace. With the raw music.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.